Buongiorno a tutti e a tutte, buon inizio di settimana, grazie per essere qui con noi oggi. Allora, sono Roxana Zecca, responsabile commerciale di Y Meridian e sono qui con il nostro direttore editoriale Fabio Piccoli e come vedete avremo due ospiti importanti per quella che sarà la tematica di oggi, ovvero oggi andremo ad approfondire cosa si può fare sul mercato indiano. Andremo ad approfondire quelle che sono le esigenze da parte dei consumatori, ma anche opportunità e cosa il vino italiano può fare in un mercato così importante che pian piano, insomma, diventerà sempre più un mercato chiave, diciamo. Avremo con noi Rajiv Naresh di Provine Mumbai, il referente organizzatore per Messe Düsseldorf, e poi avremo Nikhil Agarwal, che è un wine expert, un organizzatore di eventi, sommelier, che ci potrà dare una panoramica approfondita sulla composizione di questo mercato molto stratificato. E alcune informazioni di servizio: il webinar durerà all'incirca un'oretta, 50 minuti, un'oretta, e avrete il box che vi intimiamo di utilizzare, il box domande e risposte, se avete magari qualche dubbio, in quanto poi alla fine della presentazione prevederemo 5-10 minuti per approfondire quelle che sono le vostre questioni. Poi il webinar verrà registrato, per cui chi magari si perderà un pezzettino potremo inviare la registrazione. Ancora grazie per essere qui con noi oggi e ti passo palla, Fabio.
Grazie Roxana, ma grazie soprattutto ai tanti di voi che questa mattina si sono collegati per seguire questo webinar, a testimonianza che il mercato indiano viene visto sempre di più da molti produttori e export manager italiani come un mercato estremamente interessante, non solo di prospettiva, ma anche con segnali importanti anche oggi. Ringrazio fin da subito sia Nikhil Agarwal e Rajiv Naresh per questa loro presenza. Sono forse due dei maggiori rappresentanti e conoscitori del mercato indiano, quindi li ringrazio di cuore ovviamente per essere con noi. A me spetta dare, diciamo, un calcio d'inizio a questo webinar dicendo due cose che ritengo importanti. Io seguo il mercato indiano da una ventina d'anni e devo ammettere che per molti anni andavo in India con una visione, diciamo, futuribile, di speranza, di prospettiva, però ogni volta tornavo dall'India con l'idea che servissero ed erano necessari o sarebbero stati necessari ancora molti anni prima di vedere un mercato più pronto. Oggi devo dire, a distanza proprio anche di questi ultimi 3 anni, in cui abbiamo, diciamo, organizzato assieme a Provine a Mumbai diciamo, questa rassegna, diciamo, di aziende italiane in una collettiva organizzata da Wine Meridian, oggi sono convinto che il mercato pronto ha avviato un processo molto importante di organizzazione, di strutturazione, ma anche e soprattutto di una base di consumatori che si sta arricchendo di anno in anno. E come vi dirà sia Nikhil che Rajev, da partire dal post-Covid, sempre di più ogni anno vediamo aumento dei consumi di vino con una popolazione indiana, soprattutto di una classe media che è sempre più interessata, anche grazie ad una crescita della ristorazione italiana, ma ad una ristorazione di qualità sempre più interessata anche alla presenza nelle carte vini di vino. Quindi sono, a chi mi chiede, molto fiducioso e quindi sono felice di poter dare oggi la parola a due esperti importanti del mercato indiano che vi potranno dare ragguagli sia sulle dinamiche organizzative all'interno della fiera, ma anche e soprattutto sulle dinamiche del mercato indiano. So I thank Rajiv and Gil to be with us today. Of course, the language it will be English, but I know all our guests that are connect today are able to understand. And if they don't understand something, they can ask us question. We will have also the last 10 minutes also for some direct question. And really is a good opportunity to know better the Indian wine market. So thanks again, Rajiv and Nikhil.
Thank you.
So, Rajiv, if you want to start to introduce us a little bit about the Provine Mumbai world. work.
Yes, yes. So let me just share the screen.
Yes.
So is my screen visible to everyone?
Yes.
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 All right. So hello, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank you for joining the webinar today. As Roxana mentioned, I'll be briefing a little bit about Pro One Mumbai as a show. And then I'll pass on the mic to my colleague Nikhil to talk about the Indian market scenario. So Pro Wine Mumbai is basically a part of Pro Wine World family, which started from Germany around 32 years ago, and now happens in various countries like Düsseldorf, Shanghai, Singapore, Hong Kong, Sao Paulo, Mumbai, and Tokyo. So, with respect to Mumbai, it is the sixth edition, which is going to happen in 26, and the show has grown steadily over the years, starting from the education campaigns that we started in 2018 and 19 to test the market. So, upon getting a good response, then we started doing it as our trade fair in 21. That was a small show, being the first edition in a countertop format in a hotel, wherein we were able to get 70 companies and around 2,000 visitors on board that year. And since then, till 25, so we have grown to 213 exhibitors and close to 6,000 visitors in 5 years. And for 26, we now expect over 250 exhibitors and around 6,000 visitors over 2 days. So this has been the growth journey, basically, which I just briefed about. So that's a pictorial representation of the growth. Now, talking about the format of the show, it's primarily a B2B event, which is limited to the trade for professionals like importers, distributors, retailers, HoReCa professionals, along with some limited direct consumers as well who are seriously into buying alcohol in India. In terms of exhibitors, so the wine and spirits producers participated from 21 countries in the past editions, including around 10 dedicated country pavilions, as you can see on your screen. So these are the pavilions that we had. Australia, France, Germany, Ireland, Italy. Again, Wine Meridian has been consistently participating at Pro One Mumbai since the past years. Japan, Moldova, Switzerland, UK, USA, and this year we are now increasing it to, countries like Korea is participating, right? And a lot of new countries are being added year on year who are now interested to enter into the Indian market. So, with the purpose to take the community together, we have planned various engagement activities within Pro Wine Mumbai. So exhibition is one part, of course, where the products are on showcase. People come and taste your wines and spirits. Then simultaneously to the exhibition, we host master classes over 2 days. There are 12 master classes spread across 2 days. Then we have a bartender competition where we encourage the bartenders from India as of now to take part in the challenge. They compete online first and then on site. Then one of them wins and we sponsor an international trip to a bar takeover to them. Then we have a Pro Wine Pro Spirits Challenge. That's a competition which is actually for the brands who are registered in Maharashtra. They can apply for this competition. We organize a jury tasting in advance. Then we announce the winners at the show. Then we have panel discussions wherein we cover multiple topics during the day. Where prominent speakers from the industry, they speak on certain topics and give their insights on that particular subject. Then we have recently, from past 2 years, we have started a program called Honoring Excellence, wherein we acknowledge the efforts made by the stalwarts of the industry. So we call them on stage. We acknowledge their efforts. We felicitate them with a certificate. So this is one program. Then Pro Wine Mumbai Night is one program which everybody looks forward to. So that's a casual get together plus a B2B networking evening on the first day of the exhibition after the exhibition hours, wherein we invite all the trade and the media, importers, horeca distributors, all the relevant audience would be there. Of course, as an exhibitors, you all will be a part of that evening wherein you can network with these people. So these kind of programs we have, kept together to take the community and industry together. More engagement activities means more dialogue, more networking, more business. This is what we believe in. So these are the statistics for the last edition that we did, as I just covered in my previous slides as well. So we had around 213 exhibitors, more than 1,000 labels participating, around 5,500 trade visitors, which were actually the quality visitors. We've started filtering the audience now since the last edition to make it more relevant for our exhibitors. And this is how the floor plan for this edition looks like. So this is one hall at the venue at the Geo World Convention Center, which is a world-class venue. India has nowadays. So this is one hall of that event wherein Pro Wine Mumbai is happening, and there is a separate area for the master classes on the first floor. And then on the third floor, we will have the Pro Wine Mumbai night and the other engagement programs that I've mentioned. So this was an overview about the show from my side. In case we have any questions, we can take it up at the later stage once Nikhil completes, his part of insights. So I'm just passing on the stage to my colleague Nikhil now to talk about the Indian market.
All right, thank you, Rajiv, and buongiorno, everybody. My Italian is not so good, otherwise I would have loved to do this in Italian for you. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spend some time not only talking about what the show can do for you, but also what the Indian market is. And if you feel like I've missed anything out, please feel free to ask the question or put up a comment on the messaging. So we start with Italy and India. First, you have to remember that India is a very large country, and within India there are many states. Each state pretty much acts as if it's in its own country anyway. So there are different rules and regulations per state. These rules and regulations are becoming easier to deal with. Secondly, as an exporter to India, this is not something that you are expected to deal with. Your local importer is the one that will be dealing with the many differences in the Indian market. On the central level, you have the customs duty, and then on a state level, you have the VAT, the excise duty, and the excise duty. All right. So central level customs duty, and state-wise, then you have VAT and excise duties. Now, on a central level, the current customs duty of 150% is very high. And despite that, the growth of Italian wines or wines, international wines in India has been spectacular. It's been on average approximately 15 to 16% per annum. And in the last few years, that percentage has grown to about 24% per annum. The good news that I'm sure all of us on this call already know is that India and the European Union are about to sign a free trade agreement. This free trade agreement will bring down the duties of 150% down to 20 and 30% on different slabs for any wine that is above 2.5 euro. All right, so that's a huge, huge change. And I have to tell you that I myself have been in the industry for 27 years. This is what we've been waiting for, and we're expecting massive change to come because of this. All right, Raju, can we move on to the next? All right. So just a couple of things about India. One is we've got a 1.5 billion people. I'm not here to tell you that 1.5 billion people will suddenly start drinking wine in India. That's not going to happen. I would say that 80% of India is not going to drink wine for the next 100 years, because it's just out of their purview. They're too far away from it. But what we are interested in is the young affluent and the old affluent, or the middle class that is growing rapidly in India. So we want 5 to 10 million people in India to start drinking wine. We expect 5 to 10 million people in India to start drinking wine in the next few years. And then that number will go up to 20, 30, 50 on let's say every 5 years. It'll keep increasing, it'll keep doubling. Now, this number, as a percentage of India's population, is tiny, but as a number is quite large. All right. So even if 15 million people start drinking wine very frequently in India, you're still talking about half the size of Australia. Um, Another thing that India has, which in its advantage, is that we have a very, very young population. And the young population that is getting into the market today is not new to wine. All right. So I'm 47 years old, for example. When I was 20 years old, there was no wine anywhere in the market. Okay. 25 to 30 years ago, India didn't have any international wine. And domestically, we only had one winery or two wineries that had started making wine. So for somebody who was 20 at that time, you had to be exposed to wine and therefore then get into drinking wine. But we don't have that problem right now, because in every party or every bar or every restaurant, there is a separate wine list. There are sommeliers. There are shops that sell only wine. There are menus that are paired with wine. Indian food is being had with wine on a more consistent basis. So when you look at point number one, which is the young people that are coming into the legal drinking age of India, this has never happened in India's history before, that so many people are coming into legal drinking age, but they also, a large part of them will also already be exposed to wine, which is one of the big reasons why India will continue to drink wine, will continue to grow in its wine consumption over the next few years. The Indian market is also at a stage right now. I'm not sure how many of you have been to India, but if you did come to India, you will see that there is a lot of change, which means that there is a lot of money being spent by people to go out to drink, to eat. They want to drink more high-end wines, more international wines, and that scale of progress is what point number two has to share with you, which is basically that you have a USD 148.3 billion dollars. The size is reached. The Indian wine market is also exploding at about 15%. And it is the fastest growing wine market in the Asia Pacific, without a doubt. While we're looking at numbers, it's easy to talk like this, but when you come to India, you will see it. When you go to the restaurants, when you go to the hotels, you will see what I am talking about, that wine is becoming more and more prevalent. Wine is becoming more demographic, which means that it's not only for the rich. In today's day and age, you can be exposed to wine sitting in your own bedroom because of Netflix and Instagram, etc. So wine is becoming more accessible than before. And just remember, 30 years ago, India had zero wine. So we're talking about a huge change on a small base, but that base is also becoming bigger and bigger. All right. So you're in a market. When you think of India, you have to think of a market that is growing rapidly. I understand that globally the markets are contracting, but India has not even begun its consumption phase. It is about to happen. All right. Rajiv, can we go to the next stage? Okay, now consumers can be broken up into like any market, a pyramid. At the top of the pyramid, the people are drinking the very best. They're buying bottles of Barolo, they're buying Super Tuscans, they're buying Amarone, they're drinking well, all right? And that percentage is a small percentage, it's a tiny percentage. Then you have the second part of the pyramid, which is which is the one that we're excited about, which is the middle class and the upper middle class, where you are seeing a lot of people starting to drink better. Of course, there's a cocktail boom in India as well, but they're also looking to drink better wines. They're experimenting. They've gone beyond the typical grape varieties that everybody already knows, and they want to try something different. Young people especially want to understand stories. They want to know about the winery. A lot of people travel for vineyard tours, etc. And when they come back, they continue to drink wine with them. Luxury and wine is becoming more and more important out here. You have uh, you have even hotel chains that are opening wine bars in India. So, for example, if you've heard of the Taj Group of Hotels, the Taj Group of Hotels started a wine bar in one of their hotels in Delhi, and they have now they're opening up a wine bar at the Taj Mahal Palace in Bombay as well. This is just to give you an idea. It's not the only one. There are many people doing that. Rajiv, next slide. All right. So you have a lot of young people who are driving cocktail culture, fueling wine growth, and shaping premium dining. So, just to give you a sense, the number of restaurants and bars that are opening up in tier one cities across India is staggering. There's almost like there are new restaurants opening up every week. And in terms of hotels, they're opening up. One new hotel is opening up every month in some part of India or the other. To go back to the Taj Group of Hotels as an example, Taj Group of Hotels announced 243 new hotels that will be opened in the next 2 years. Accor Group of Hotels, which is Sofitel and etc., the CEO announced 8,000 new keys for India. So 8,000 new hotel rooms for India. All of this requires people, all of these places will require wine to be a part of their offering. Um, there's a lot more affluent customer. Women are also spending more. And of course, there's Instagram, etc., that's pushing wine a lot right now. Can we go to the next slide, please? All right. I'm not sure if some of you know this, but Indians, of course, like their Indian cuisine. But when it comes to international cuisine, there are two cuisines that are the most popular. One is Chinese and one is Italian. And therefore, every five-star hotel across India will always have a very high-end Chinese restaurant. And when I say Chinese, it's more like a mix of Asian. And they will always have an Italian restaurant. And in the Italian restaurant, what they like to focus is on Italian wines. Can we go to the next slide? All right. So there's a lot of changes in the way people are going out for dinner, etc. as well. You have more people ordering wine when they go out for dinner. You have a lot of fine dining establishments coming up. You have people that are opening up, like all the restaurants in India are now being put on the Asia's 50 best list. The bars are putting on Asia's 50 best list, and it's attracting a very global customer audience in India as well. Many new wine bars. In fact, in Bombay, there was a new wine bar that was opened up last month, sorry. And as we speak, there are about 4 to 5 wine bars that I am aware of that are opening up in Bombay and Bangalore, which are two separate cities in India. The restaurant and bar scene is becoming more global. Indian food is becoming more global. So, for example, if you typically when you go to an Indian restaurant, you would never do courses, but the new Indian restaurants are doing courses. So you would have one course after the other, and now these restaurants are also pairing wine along with it, which is different from what was happening 15, 20 years ago, because the way Indians eat food is that all the dishes are put together at one time rather than course-wise, which is being changed right now. I should add that sommeliers have where there are not enough sommeliers in India to meet the demand of what is required. And so a lot of hotels, a lot of restaurants, a lot of retail stores are asking for sommeliers or finding sommeliers so that they can add them to their programs. And the reason why it's important is because I think at this stage, the consumer has gone further than the HoReCa trade. And in order for the HoReCa trade to engage consumers in a world-class fashion, they need to have people who understand wine, who are educated in wine. So there's a lot of education on wine happening, and there's a lot of people being hired to talk about wine. Typically in India, you've had a lot of success with Prosecco, with wines from Piemonte, Tuscany, and the regions of and the northeast of Italy, which would include Friuli and Veneto, and to a certain extent Emilia-Romagna. But you also see now wines coming in from other parts of Italy. So Abruzzo has done well, but predominantly for Montepulciano di Abruzzo. But you're also seeing now other wines coming in, like rosés coming in from Abruzzo, or different grape varieties. And then you have the other regions in the south of Italy that are showing more and more wines coming in. In Sicily, Sicily has always had a certain presence, but we can see the number of Sicilian brands coming into India also grow. So the reason for this slide is to say that yes, the north of Italy has had is very popular here, but generally you're seeing more wines from different parts of Italy become more and more popular. Can we go to the next slide? All right. I'll talk about this in a certain for a few minutes, and I think this is important for us to understand that the India-Italy trade agreement and also the relationship between the two countries is getting stronger, which means that this free trade agreement or this alliance doesn't limit itself only to wine, but on a broader scale as well. Now, what this means is that for you in the wine world specifically, is that when the free trade agreement gets signed, hopefully by the end of this year, which means that it's already been agreed upon. It just has to be ratified. It just means it has to be signed by all the European Union countries. And once that is signed, which is going to happen by the end of this year, immediately the duty will come down from 150% to approximately 75%. Now that means that all things else being equal, the prices for wines brought under the new free trade agreement to the consumer will drop by 10 to 15% almost immediately. All right. I mean, for new wines coming into India, I don't know about existing wines. Some importers may choose not to give the benefit to the customer, but if a new wine comes in, there would be a 10 to 15 percentage drop in cost of wine to a customer. Secondly, the duties will keep going down until they reach 20 and 30%, depending on which price bracket you are in. But for wines below 2.5 euro, there is no benefit. So if your wine is priced at 2.5 euro and below, your wine will still pay the importer will still pay 150% customs duty on it. But anything beyond 2.5 euro will get the benefit of the free trade agreement. So this is positive news. This is news that we've been waiting for. And because of this, there are a lot more new importers that are coming into the foray. The existing importers are also now planning as to what can they do to bring in more expensive wines, upgrade their portfolio. Because if a customer in India is already willing to spend X dollars on a number of bottles, what's going to happen is that for the same X dollars in the future, he's going to be able to get a better bottle of wine. And that is why this is important. So there's going to be tremendous premiumization that will happen post the free trade agreement. And as for me, I feel like in the next 5 to 7 years, the entire what we think is the Indian wine market will completely change because of this free trade agreement. I should also add that the free trade agreement has also been signed with Australia, with New Zealand. It should be signed with Chile in the next year or two, with the UK, but the UK does not have wine included in it, and the US. Now, this is all good, even though European Union is not the only one. This is good for all of us because more wines become cheaper for consumption in India. There will be a natural shift towards drinking more wine. Anyway, consumers are drinking less and less whiskey. They're drinking less and less spirits in India. From a per capita, sort of per person consumption rate, But in India, because there are more and more people starting to drink in the first place, you won't be able to see that. But generally, people are shifting from spirits to wines, or from spirits like neat spirits, or whiskey with water, or whiskey on ice, to cocktails. So those two categories, wines and cocktails, are growing rapidly. All right, next slide, please. All right, couple of things that exporters to India face, and we'd like to just talk about them when it comes to Provine. So I'm sure some of you have tried to send samples to India. It's always a nightmare. We have Ari Rogers, who is our logistics partner, and we also have special permission taken from the government of Maharashtra, which is the state in which Mumbai is. So what this does is it allows you to send the samples to India under cargo mode. Very important. You cannot courier it. You cannot hand carry the samples. You have to send it under cargo mode. But you don't have to do the label registration angle of what happens in Bombay. So which means that it becomes very easy for samples that you want to showcase to potential importers in India at the show. I stress upon this because um, it is difficult to send samples to India. So which means that either you come with samples to India and then go from, meet all the importers one-on-one. Here, all the importers are there in one room and your samples arrive safely. All right. We can go to and of course, you don't have to use RE Rogers for logistics, but the clearing in India has to be done through RE Rogers, and it becomes a one shop, one door to sort of clear all your logistics hassles. Okay, let's move on. Um, uh, just again, as a strategy, you have importers that come to the show. We have a business matching website that you could use. It's an app that you could use. The logistics becomes simpler. We allow people, we go through every entry. So every person that wants to enter the show is scanned through by us, and therefore is approved by us. So you have a lot of distributors, importers, retailers, Horeca, flight people who make decisions for buying for airlines, for duty free. People from neighboring countries have started coming for the show in India. So in terms of profile of audience, it's getting better and better. Also, it's very important, for example, to create consumer sort of awareness. So guided tastings, competitions, etc. Do help. If you have zero alcohol category brands in your portfolio, this is a good place to show it, because there's a lot of awareness that needs to be created for zero alcohol wines and spirits. And yes, of course, while I say all these positive things about India, please remember that India is still catching up with the rest of the world when it comes to wine. And you will have to be a little patient with India, but overall, it will give you the fruit, the sort of results that you want. There are a lot of current Italian brands that are available in India, and it's taken them 5, 7, 10 years. But right now, those are big brands in India. They do very well. All wine consumers know them, and they're pretty much on every list. And they also started many years ago. Can we go to the next? All right. So in a nutshell, great place to meet importers, distributors, Horeca clients, to test your product with different sommeliers, media. They're all going to be there. What I like about the conversations that happen at Provine is that you will get immediate feedback on the quality, on the price that you are suggesting for your wine. So, for example, importers in India will always give you that feedback immediately, saying that, hey, listen, this is a good price, it's not so good price, et cetera, et cetera. Lots of sommeliers, lots of media, great partnership building, and then, of course, brand education for your brand. Many brands have had success stories at Provine. A lot of brands launch themselves at Provine after finding an importer. They still come and launch themselves at Provine. And of course, since you're going to be potentially be part of the Wine Meridian booth, you have a dedicated space for Italian wines and spirits, which comes at not only a better price, but also will also help you in terms of where everyone wants Italian wines will come to you. Can we go to the next slide? All right. Thank you. That was just the presentation. I'm happy. Rajiv and I are both happy to answer any questions you have or any comments that have been put on the comment side.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nikhil. Thank you so much, Rajiv. It was a very important presentation. And yes, we have one question here in the chat from Gianluca, and he asked to get a bit more concrete, especially about the price, about the average price paid by the middle class for a bottle of wine, and also what XLR price in euros does that correspond to. If you can give us a little bit of information.
Great question. So typically, on average, the Indian customer doesn't think twice about a bottle of wine that he spends 2,000 Indian rupees for. In order to get to 2,000 Indian rupees, you would have to have an ex-seller price of approximately €2, 2 to 2.3 euro is where it would be. At this price point, customers don't care. They'll just keep buying. Also, hotels and restaurants, not at the high-end level, will put this price point by the glass and also into their banquets. And then, of course, you could keep going higher up. Like, for example, Chianti Classicos, Chianti Classico Reserva, Super Tuscans, etc. They all go up in terms of price point. But where the mass market is that price point. I hope that answers the question. But listen, there are. I mean, like any period, there will be more customers at the base, and as you go up in price, like a triangle, it'll become less and less and less. But the beauty is that this 2,000 rupee 5 years ago used to be 1,500 rupees. And I think that now it's going to be 2,500 rupees. And then as time goes on, people are willing to just spend more and more. Are just willing to spend more and more. So I feel like if you come to the market in India right now, you'll see that there are a lot of wines from Italy being sold at prices far above the €2 mark. All right, much more. The €2 mark is pretty much the price point at where Chilean wines would be sold for the large part. South African wines would be sold, but for Italian wines, like some regions like Abruzzo or Emilia-Romagna, etc. But otherwise, it's not possible to get wines at €2 from Piemonte, as far as I know. If you find one, please tell me. But of course, Tuscany and the northeast of Italy, the prices are higher. Sorry. Okay, so that's the answer to that. Next question.
Yes, we have a question from Anastasia. I'm going to translate in English. What are the market entry costs, and such as brand level registration and required certifications?
Okay, so the entry costs. So some states have something known as label registration. Now, like in Mumbai, where I'm sitting right now, there is no label registration cost. So it's zero. All right. So which means your importer just has to register the label and then, work out the market. In Delhi, it's more expensive. Delhi, it's about €800 a label. Sorry, 750 to €800. The euro has gone up significantly. So I would take it as €700 for now. €700 per label per year. And then in other markets, it could be, €300. In some markets, it could be €100. But it depends on which market you want to get into. I would say that a good way to look at it is that if you have an importer that has pan-India presence and has the ability to take your wines into the major markets immediately, then you should then normally it's about 11 to 1,200 euros for the pan-India market. But importers might ask you to pay for that completely. But normally, It's an understanding. There's always a discussion. Sometimes importers will pay half. Sometimes importers, like if you're will not ask you at all. That's an individual partnership question. But the labor registration bit, that is the only cost to entry from a statutory point of view. All right. Any other question?
Yes, we have three questions about the pairing, the categories, the consumer tasting and flowers. Can you tell us more about this?
So one thing that you should know for all the producers out here is that Indian food and wine from any part of the world is phenomenal. It's not been done enough. Please try it. It is really good. All right. Um, in India, a lot of the top end Chinese restaurants have a lot of Sangiovese on their menu because they feel that all the sommeliers feel that Sangiovese in the Chianti Classico or just a Sangiovese format goes really well with Asian cuisine. Um, but there's a lot of Italian wine also being drunk just simply without food, being drunk with a pasta. The people that drink wine in India are not necessarily the ones that are eating local food, the Indian local food all the time. Like in my home on a Friday night, we're never eating Indian food. So we're always ordering food or we're going out to restaurants or whatever. So I wouldn't worry about which wines do better in terms of food pairing because there's so much food out here. And then also what is Indian food, right? Indian food changes from every 50 kilometers. It's a different kind of cuisine altogether. But just to give you a safe answer, um, um, we do like, I think Montepulciano di Abruzzo in particular does very well with like the North Indian sort of grilled kebab sort of thing. But otherwise, Indians are drinking different wines with different food from India and from across the world all the time.
Yes, I can confirm that because I saw that also in Provine Mumbai, a lot of participants, they were interested not only in by force in sweet wines, but also in sparkling brut wines, and and that's very important to for the market as well, in order to know better other wines, other Italian wines, and so on. We have another question.
Roxana, if I
Yes,
might just add, I'll tell you some grape varieties that are very popular in India. Maybe this will help you,
yes,
right?
yeah, for sure.
All right. So Pinot Grigio is extremely popular.
Mhm.
Sangiovese is extremely popular. I'm from it. I'll do with Italy first, and then I'll move on. And Sangiovese in its various sort of from various regions, always very popular. If you're doing, other grape varieties, of course, Nebbiolo is popular to a certain degree. There's people like to drink Barolo to a certain degree. They like to drink Amarone to a certain degree, but those are smaller in numbers. You would also find a lot of Prosecco. I think Prosecco, if you have Prosecco in your portfolio or you are a Prosecco producer, the Indian market is exploding for Prosecco right now. No one wants to drink champagne, everyone wants to drink Prosecco. In terms of style of wine, no, the notion that Indians like sweet wine is incorrect. They certainly like fruit-forward wines, but they don't want sweet wines. So for example, we don't. I'm an importer as well. I don't have a single sweet wine in my portfolio. I have 200 wines. So we might do fruit-forward wines, but again, depending on who the customer is, we've noticed that as they drink more and more and their palates get more evolved, more evolved customers don't want any fruit and they want more sophistication or elegance in their wine. From international grape varieties, Pinot Noir is very popular, Malbec is popular, Cabernet Sauvignon is popular, Shiraz or Syrah is popular, Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc is very popular. Um, uh, a small degree of Zinfandel or Primitivo, what you like to call it, is Nero d'Avola is slightly popular. But it's basically the international grape varieties, and no one in India who drinks wine is not familiar with Tuscan grape varieties that are from the north, at least of Italy. All right, so they would know the grape varieties already.
Thank you. Thank you. It was very important to underline this point. And we have another question from Gianluca, and he asked, it is more effective to focus on the prestige of the appellation or on the value of the winery, such as awards and scores and so on?
Everything. Everything matters. Everything matters. Where it comes from, the story of the winery, international recognition, pricing, what the bottle looks like, label looks like. I think it all matters. So, different importers have different reasons to select. I know an importer that selects purely on label, like he wants the label to be as different as possible. There are importers that will buy more on price. There are importers that will buy more on a sort of historical provenance of the winery. What is the winery? What is the story of the winery? Is it one of the the forefront runners of the Italian wine scene of the region? So there is no one answer to that question, unfortunately, Luca. It's everything. It's everything right now.
Thank you. And we have a question from Lara, and she asked us if the agreement between EU and India will be applicable only to wine or also to spirits as well.
It's on wines and spirits, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
The percentage for spirits is different. I think it goes down to 40%, if I'm not mistaken. But that we can recheck, but it's definitely on wine and it is on spirits. Only so in Australia, it's for wine, not for spirits. In the UK, it's for spirits, not for wine. In the European Union, it's for both, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. And we have time just for another two questions because I don't want to stress you, and I'd like also to go on of this. Linda is asking us if what is the market support required by importers, for samples and so on. What do you think, in your opinion?
I think the importers look again. It's difficult to generalize this, but I could tell you that the more time you spend in the market in the beginning, the higher the degree for your success. So we have found that brands that visit India, that do wine evenings, that host dinners, that with consumers or the media or the sommeliers, who go to restaurants and go to hotels and then train the teams on their wines, those are the ones that find more success because people remember those wines, right? Especially with the trade. So
Yes.
a function of marketing spend really depends on how aggressive you want to be in the market and how good your importer is in the market. There are some importers that will ask you for budgets and then deploy them in a mixture of label registration and sampling. And that's a strategy that you could come up with, but there's no fixed value. Like, for example, if I was doing a wine that I know I'm going to sell, 5,000 cases of in a year, my marketing strategy would be very different than from a wine that I'm planning to sell, 50 cases of a year of a high-end wine. So it's a difficult question to generalize.
Okay. And also, Stefania is asking us if there is any specific docs that are required, and if India market is open also to traditional method sparkling wines.
Yes, of course. Traditional method sparkling wines are popular in India. It's the price point that needs to be checked. So, for example, there's very little Franciacorta, but there is a traditional made sparkling wine produced in India, and that come from other parts of let's say France, for example. But there is a market for it. As long as it's well priced, it could be something that could be looked at. In terms of documentation for shipping, it is basically the regular documents that you would need for any country. Plus, you do need a certificate of origin and analysis, which is very important for India. and you need to you need to have a back label that is India compliant, which means that that it has to have certain details that the Indian state government asks for. Now, this information this information your importer will tell you. So once you send him a copy of your back label, he will tell you, or she will tell you what changes to make. There is a way to have the original label, back label, and then put an additional sticker, but it becomes a little messy in terms of the way the bottle looks, because once the wine comes into India, there is another sticker for the price that has to be mentioned. In India, you don't have a free market system. You have to put the maximum retail price in which you want to sell the wine, so that retailers cannot ask for more than that price. Just another thing that I'd like to tell you is that we have the food safety requirement. That means that when your wine comes into India, what the food safety department does is they will take one bottle and they will do a sample test, and that test the results of that test should match what is in your certificate of analysis as well, or even if it doesn't, it should match the Indian standards. So those are the things that you need to be mindful of. Sorry, I forgot your name. Forgot the name of the girl that asked, Stefania. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question, Stefania.
And the last question from Julia. She asked us about the different regions in India, which one are considered more efficient for the wine market, and also the psychological aspects.
So, look, Bombay is the wealthiest city in India, and wine has always been. All trends come to Bombay first and then move to the rest of India. So India, Bombay is your biggest market. It also has zero entry, so there's zero label registration, and that is the reason why Bombay has more wine labels than any other part of India. In the last 4 to 5 years, about 700 new wines would have come into India, just to give you a sense. All right, 700 new brands, not even wines. In terms of other markets, Delhi is extremely important. Bangalore is very important. Gurgaon is very, very important. In fact, the numbers for Gurgaon, which is where Rajiv is sitting right now in Haryana, what that state has done is they've made it very inexpensive for consumers to buy wine or spirits. So you would get the lowest. So if a bottle of wine costs 3,000 or 30 euros in Mumbai, in Gurgaon, they sell it the same wine. They will sell it for 20 euros or 22 euros. So there's a lot of consumption in that one city and in that one state. Other markets include Goa to a certain extent. You have in Rajasthan, you have the palace hotels. The hotels are seasonal, which means that right now no one's going to a hotel in the desert. But when it gets cooler, it becomes the world's rich come there to host weddings and big events, etc. So there's a lot of consumption in a certain time of the year in Rajasthan.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nikhil. Thank you, Rajiv. It was a really important presentation in order to understand better how India is going on, how Italian wines can perform, and what kind of strategies can Italian wineries implement in the market. Also, I would like to address to Italian wineries, perché come sapete noi di Wine Meridian, come vi ha anticipato poi anche il direttore Fabio, l'India è un mercato che presidiamo da tanti anni. Abbiamo accompagnato all'incirca una trentina di aziende all'interno di Provai Mumbai, che come ci ha spiegato Rajiv è diventato ormai uno degli eventi più solidi, no, per incontrare profili B2B profilati da loro. Per cui l'invito che vi facciamo, ovviamente poi dopo vi manderemo tutte le informazioni assieme alla registrazione, l'invito che vi facciamo è che innanzitutto se ci sono domande, approfondimenti, pervenitecele, perché magari poi dopo sarà uno spunto per svolgere un altro approfondimento, un altro webinar. Però ovviamente vi ricordiamo anche la nostra collettiva che si terrà il 18 e il 19 novembre proprio durante Prova in Mumbai. Abbiamo ancora all'incirca 2 o 3 posti liberi, per cui insomma chi fosse interessato a ricevere maggiori informazioni, poi dopo vi daremo tutti i contatti. Ed ecco, thank you again, thank you Rajiv, thank you Nikhil. I hope
Thank you, Roxana.
to hear you from soon. And grazie a tutti, buona continuazione.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye bye, bye.
Bye.